Hey guys, what's up? This is Mackenzie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about my experience in college. So I'm halfway through. I just finished my second year, so my fourth semester. I'm a sophomore, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience because I feel like it's kind of different than most, so I just wanted to share it with you guys. We'll start in high school. I graduated in 2018. I actually graduated from a school, it was like 20 to 30 minutes away from the school that I actually go to now. So I really stayed in the area, but I'm really glad that I did because I ended up getting this amazing apartment and I'm able to live here year round and see my parents year round. I was able to work at my job that I had in high school that paid me a lot and I had a lot of freedom. Honestly, worked out really well that I ended up staying close to home. So I'm happy with that. The schools that I applied to my senior year, I applied to Tulane in New Orleans. I was accepted there. I applied to NYU. I was accepted. I applied to Columbia. I was waitlisted at Columbia, and then I applied to VCU and I was accepted. To tell you a little bit about my statistics from high school, so I had a 4.6 GPA. I took a bunch of weighted classes, so that's why it was higher than a 4.0, but I did get straight A's all throughout high school. I took AP courses, IB courses. I took a few AP exams. I had to take all my IB exams, so I ended up getting some credit that carried over. But if I had to give advice to anybody in high school, it would be don't waste your time with those classes. Just take whatever dual enrollment classes that would fit into your major that are offered at your high school. And my SAT score was pretty high. It was a 1520. I got a 780 on the math. I'm a big math brain. And I got a 740 on the reading. First time I took the PSAT, I got a 1330. The first time I took the SAT, I got a 1360. So what I did to bump my score up, I just went on khanacademy.com and I just did the math practice, and I just did that for a couple hours the week before I took my SAT, and it caused my score to go up 200 points. So I'd recommend that. And then as far as my extracurriculars go, I played lacrosse for 2-3 years. I was the boys soccer manager. I was in photography club, FBLA, just a bunch of random stuff. And so you may be wondering why did I go to VCU? Why did I stay close to home when I was accepted into these other schools? And that is because VCU offered me a full tuition scholarship for 4 years. So my tuition is paid for. I had to pay for my housing my first year, and I still have to pay for my housing, but I'm actually kind of glad I didn't get a full ride, because if I got a full ride, I would have had to stay in the dorms offered by VCU for all 4 years, and I didn't want to do that. So yeah, I get $16,000 a year from them for 4 years as long as I keep my GPA above a 3.3. And I don't want student debt, so that was why I chose to go there, because I didn't want debt. That's kind of what led me to go here. That's kind of the backstory, just to let you know some stats, how I earned that scholarship. I would recommend if you have high scores and you don't really care about prestige, which I don't really think anyone should care about, but that's just my opinion, I would definitely say apply to schools that are going to give you a lot of money, and then you can go for free and you can be debt free. Now I'll talk a little bit about my experience at VCU. I have changed my major 4 times. So I'm going to graduate late. I went into college and I was a pre-med major. I thought I wanted to go to medical school. I wanted to be a doctor since I was in middle school. It was my first 2 weeks of college that I realized I didn't want to be at school for 8 years. I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to be stressed out and not making any money. I just wanted to get into the real world and do things. So I switched pretty early on. I did fine in the classes. I took it was biology, chemistry, calc, some other random stuff. I just decided it wasn't for me, and I decided to pursue nursing. I was I can do the nursing school and I can make decent money, and then I can just be done in 4 years. And then anatomy happened. And also when I was doing this, I had to do shadow hours, and I had to do this and I had to do that in order to get accepted into the program. And I kind of realized I kept putting off the shadowing. I was really busy at the time and I never ended up doing it, and I realized maybe healthcare isn't what I want to do, because if I really wanted to do it, I feel I'd be pursuing it more. So I switched my major the second semester from pre-med to nursing officially, and I was a technically pre-nursing major for the next 2 years. I missed the deadline for the application into the school, so I was already off track. I was already going to graduate in 23 instead of 22, so I'd have to pay for a year, and I also didn't know if my scholarship would even cover the tuition of the nursing school. So I switched out of that. And there's actually a funny story that happened. So I took anatomy 2 times. First time I took anatomy, I didn't study. I didn't try because I've never had to try in school, and so it was really difficult for me to make that switch to try. In my first year, let me tell you, it was an adjustment. With the meal plan and having the opportunity to drink every night that I wanted, I gained 30 pounds. I lost it the summer after, but my life was not in a good spot. I went through some traumatic stuff right before I got to college, and I never really got to process it. I never really talked about it or anything, and I feel like that kind of affected me my first year because I just was not confident in myself because of the experiences that I had been through, and I was just eating a lot, was stressed out. I feel like I had like social anxiety. I didn't really talk to people. I wasn't confident in who I was. It was just kind of a mess. And so I'll tell you that like your first year might not go the way that you want it to. It might be a mess because that's how mine was. And like looking back now, I'm happy that it happened the way that it did. I'm happy I went through that difficult time, but I was really struggling with a lot of stuff that year. So I wasn't studying. I ended up getting a 69.6 in the class, which should have rounded up to a C, but my professor didn't round it up, so I got a D. So I had to enroll in the class again. This is my second year, my 3rd semester. Taking anatomy again, I take my first class, or my first test, I ace it. I'm like doing so well. Funny story, I actually decided to go to Disney in the middle of the semester because I had this opportunity to go for super cheap, and I hadn't been to Disney since I was 10 years old, and my best friend had never been, and she really loves Disney, so we decided to go to Disney with someone that we worked with. He paid for he got us a hotel for super cheap, and he got us, he set everything up, he planned it all, and he really helped us out. We would not have been able to go if it wasn't for him. So we did that. I spent like $1,000 on that trip. We went to Disney and Universal. I left Tuesday night and I got back Friday to go to my classes, but I missed Wednesday, Thursday classes, which happened to be my anatomy lab, which happened to be the anatomy lab right before the next exam, the second exam. And I knew I would do fine. I had taken the class before, I had been to every lab before, and I had learned everything, and I didn't need to go to sit through and have a professor point out each of the bones in the skeleton. So I didn't go. And then I ended up going to my exam the next week, and the way it works, you go into a laboratory and you all have to wait outside. No one can go in and see the figures on the table because that's how the test is. It's so annoying. You take a little laptop that they give you, you go from station to station, and you have to you have 3 questions, you have 3 minutes to answer them, and you have to answer the questions about the diagrams. So it's a really difficult exam. So the professor is calling everybody's names to make sure that they're all here, and she gets to me, and I don't talk a lot because no one really talks in class. I don't know this professor. She has no reason to dislike me. I'm in class, I'm polite, I answer questions because I know what I'm doing. And she gets to me and she's in front of the whole class, she calls me out and she says, "You can't take this exam because you missed your last lab. It's in the syllabus." Literally calling me out and embarrassing me in front of everybody. And then she's like, "Well, you can take it, but I might not grade it." So I was discouraged, but I was okay, she's probably talking the talk in front of everybody. She's gonna end up grading it. So I go in and I start to sit down to take the exam. I'm a few questions in, and this woman stops me in the middle of while I'm taking the exam that she said I could still take, and she pulls me out and she's like, "Actually, you can't take it." In front of everybody in the class. Everybody's staring. This is a distraction in the middle of a very difficult exam, and she's calling me out. And she pulls me to the front of the classroom and she's like, "You can't take this exam. It's in the syllabus." And she didn't show me the syllabus. She didn't show me where this was. I looked it up and I couldn't even find it. But basically she didn't allow me to take the exam, and there was no other way for me to take it because it's only set up for that week. But my class was the last lab to take the exam. So she told me the highest grade I could get in the class was probably a C. And I thought, why would I work my ass off in a class to get a C and then have to take it again because you need a B to get into nursing school? So I'm crying because this lady is such a bitch to me. I felt very, very discouraged, and I felt even worse because she humiliated me in front of the class, and it was really horrible. I ended up writing the dean of her department. He didn't do anything. He made her write an email apology to me that said, "Sorry for calling you out." It was just so frustrating, and that's when I was I don't know what to do now. I felt very what now? I can't take this class the 3rd time. Ended up withdrawing. So for anatomy on my transcript now I have a D and a W. Doing great. So that happened. I cried a lot. I went out on the stairwell of the building and I just sobbed for probably like 30 minutes until I could get myself together enough to go into the classroom and get my belongings in front of everybody that saw me pulled out of the exam. And then I walked home 20 minutes just crying the whole time. Didn't even want to text anybody because I was so embarrassed. And it was just, professors are bitches sometimes, is all I'm saying. But yeah, that happened. And then I was like, I don't know what to do. Then I went to talk to my advisor about it, and she was like, she like told me my options, and I was just like, She was like, it's probably better to just get an undergrad degree and then go to a nursing program after, like an accelerated program. And that was my plan. And I went to the University of Washington, and they had a 1-year program versus VCU's 3-year program, and I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. But then I was signing up for like my other major. I was gonna do like psychology just to get a degree, and I was taking an environmental science class as an elective, and I realized how excited I was for that class. This is the beginning of my 4th semester. I was so excited. I was like, okay, this class seems so cool. I would love to do more about this. And I realized how passionate I was for the environment and for climate change and stopping that. And so I went and I switched my major to environmental science. It was in the middle of ad drop week, and I just switched. And then I took those classes. I loved those classes. They were a breeze for me. I loved them. I loved learning about the world. I did like geography. So that's what I kind of thought I was gonna do. I thought I was gonna do like environmental consulting, kind of like take over my dad's business of cybersecurity consulting, like IT. I thought to myself, and I was like, all of these people get environmental science degrees, and most of them end up working in something else unless they have like a master's. So my plan was like to move to Washington if I don't find a job, go back to the nursing school at the University of Washington and run myself $40,000. So that's what I kind of thought I was doing. I kind of felt lost. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was like, ugh. And then I was talking to my mom's friend a couple weeks ago, and she was like asking me why I wasn't doing anything in math, because I have a very math-centered brain. And I was like, well, I don't really want to just be a math teacher, because that's what she is, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I wouldn't be good at that. And she was like, well, I have a friend, like all my math major friends in college, like I had this one girl, she became an actuary. And I looked up what an actuary was. And they solve equations all day to determine how much to insure someone for. I've always loved doing math equations. In elementary school, I used to go out in the hallway while my teacher was teaching. I'd be like, can I practice math? And I would just write myself long multiplication problems and just sit out there and do it. I love algebra, I love calculus. I'm a big math person, and so I thought, and I was like, why don't I do this? I looked at the salary and I was sold. So I reached out to another advisor. This is actually like just recently, and I found out, because I was like, well, how long will it take me to graduate? And she was so awesome. She was like, well, if you do this, if you switch your major to this, you'll be in school for an extra year. You'll graduate the spring of 23, when I was going to graduate spring of 22 with my environmental science degree. She was like, if you do this major, you actually, just by doing the curriculum, you get a minor in computer science, math, and statistics. It's the financial technology major. So that's what my major is now. She's like, not a lot of people know what that is. Basically, I'm going to get a degree in like financial technology with concentration in actuarial science. So I'm going to be an actuary, and I'm excited. She was saying like people that do that degree, it's a very small major, but she's saying almost all of the students she advised have jobs lined up a year to 6 months before they graduate. And hearing her say all this, I was like, I'm sold. It's gonna be really hard. I'm now signed up for like multivariate calculus and like a bunch of like business classes, because it's through the business school. So but I think I'm finally finding out what I want to do. That's my advice, is definitely go in, just think about what you're passionate about, what you're good at, and just think about like what would be fun to you. I always told myself I'd never have an office job. That always sounded so boring to me, but I realized like my real passion in life is to travel and to see as much of the world as I can. And being a doctor, you can't really do that because you're on call all the time. So maybe an office job is going to be for me. Back to just like my overall experience, I am in the honors college at VCU. You have to apply to get in, and you just graduate with honors. You have to do a few like engagement activities. You have to attend a few seminars or volunteer or just be involved in the community, and you have to have above a 3.5 GPA. My current GPA is a 3.6, even with the D in anatomy, so I'm pretty proud of myself for that. So if I didn't have that, my GPA would be like a 3.9. So that's unfortunate. So my first year, I lived in the dorms. I lived in the the honors college dorm, which is actually a single bed, single bath. So I lived in my own room, I had no roommate, and I had my own bathroom. It was heavenly. It was kind of small. It actually, like, the building that I lived in actually used to be a mental hospital, but it was fine. A meal plan, like I said, I gained 30 pounds. I was very unstable. I wasn't studying. I wasn't focusing on school. I was drinking every night with my boyfriend. Overall, it was not the best, the healthiest lifestyle. And now that I've began to live more healthy lifestyle, I just feel so much happier. I feel so much more confident in myself. But I mean, I feel like everyone needs that definitive year to kind of help them shape who they are, and you have to find out what you like to do while you're on your own and how to care for yourself when you're on your own. So my second year was much better. It was the past year. My fall semester was so fun. My group of friends, we finally got together. We would all hang out all the time. We would do fun things. We threw this amazing Halloween party. We hung out. We did fun stuff. It was a really, really great time. We went to Disney. My fall semester, minus the whole anatomy thing, was great. And then this past spring semester was also, it was okay. It was really cold up until spring break. Spring break is when Corona hit and everything went online. Now I'm going into my third year out of five total, so I was halfway done, and now I'm not halfway done, but it's all good. This semester, every single one of my classes is online. That's kind of like my midway point, my little reflection on myself. If I had any advice to give you, anyone going into college that has not been in before, I would just say, kind of don't expect it to be anything. Everybody's college experience is different. I also would say, like, you're probably definitely going to change what you're going to want to do, and it's really hard to decide when you're 18 what you want to do. And it's just really unfortunate because, like, you could waste a ton of money and just take classes and, like, end up completely wanting to switch it. And you have all of these electives like me. But at the end of the day, if you feel passionate towards something, if you feel you want to do something else, don't let the progress that you've already done stop you from that, because you're kind of going for your career, and you want to like that. You want to love your career. You want to love what you do, and you want to live the life that you want. So I would say don't be afraid to switch. Don't be afraid to change your major. Your advisors are there to help you, and they're a resource, and use them. It's also, like I said, it's just an adjustment. I'm sure everybody else's first year is like the time of their life, and like mine was fun, but looking back, it's like it was very unhealthy. Mentally, physically, just overall very, very unhealthy. But just give it time. Everything will work itself out. You'll find your friends. Sometimes it's hard to make friends at first, but your people will come to you. Say if you're having trouble making friends, I would definitely work on like joining organizations and getting involved, because then you're going to find people that are more passionate, that are passionate about the same things than you. But also say, like, don't really expect to find your friends in your classes. All my friends in my classes were kind of like friends in my classes, and that was it, like steady friends. Like, you're not going to find your friends there. You're going to find them in your organizations. You're going to find them in your dorm. You're going to find them at work. That's how I found my friends. And the last thing that I would have to say, like, as advice is, like, use everything that your college gives you. College gives you so much stuff for free, but it is so expensive. So all that, like, tuition fees it pays for, like, your gym, your tutoring, your organizations, free events, like, use that. You're paying that money, so you should try to go to everything that you can. You should try to get involved. You should also go to every class. Every class is running you, like, I feel like $50, honestly. And I know it's hard, and it's like, well, no one will know if I skip, but, like, also if you skip, you could end up having to drop your class like me. I'd also say, like, go to office hours, get to know your professors, because you're never gonna know when you're gonna need one of them for a letter of recommendation for something. And, like, it's really, like, they can't write a letter of recommendation for you if they don't know you at all. So that's my experience. Don't feel like you have to take the path that everybody else takes. Take your own path and do what is best for you. It's the best advice I feel I could give you, is do what's right for you. Not what's right for your parents, not what's right for your friends. Don't go where your friends are going. Don't go where your parents want you to go. Go where you want to go. Go where you feel the most comfortable. It's your life, and it's what you want to do. Don't let anyone else influence your decision. Do what you want to do. Take some time and think in yourself, what do I want to get out of this experience? I definitely recommend doing that before. It's up to you. Don't listen to anybody else. It's your decision. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully it helped you guys out. Hopefully I gave you guys some good advice. Hopefully my experience will help you in navigating your own. If you liked this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. If there's anything you want to see from me, please leave me a comment down below. I'd love to film something that one of you guys want to see. And I will see you guys in my next video.